Authorize the executive director of the department. That's the first one.
That's part of it.
The ordinance is following down.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll see if I remember that.
All right, good morning, everybody. Oh, God bless technology, and thank you to our IT department for the quick fix. All righty, good. All right, so it's about 9:11 on Wednesday, November 2nd. I'd like to call this meeting of the Executive Committee to order. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Bates,
Bates here.
Berman,
Berman here.
Ford, Raz,
Raz here.
Gums, Kenyon,
Here.
Caius,
Guys present.
Martin,
Martin present.
Molina,
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Strathman,
Strathman present.
Burgess,
First here.
Tepe,
Deppie here.
Davist,
Davist here.
Shepro,
Chubro present.
Pirog.
Here.
Quorum.
Okay, very good. Ms. Strathman, could you please lead us in the pledge? Pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States
of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I please have the approval of the minutes from October 5th and October 7th?
Kenyon would move.
Thank you, Mr.
Berman second.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. Are there any changes or edits? Seeing none online, clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Raz,
Raz, yes.
Gums, Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Deppie, yes.
Davist,
Davist, yes.
Pirog.
Yes,
Passes.
very good. Thank you.
Chubro, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Shepro. We got it. Okay. Now, I know we have some public comment, and I have a listing of those individuals. Did anybody sign up at the podium this morning? May I, Christine, can you give me that list? Oh.
We could do that first.
Make a motion.
Madam Chairman?
There.
I'm
Yes.
wondering if we could switch the agenda around so the people who are going to speak on the other items could be able to speak first, and then they could go home and not have to sit here and listen to some of these tax levy things. I would make a motion.
Well,
We'd be going out of order.
oh,
Oh, would be change.
okay, hold on a second. Is there, oh, we have more. Okay, very good. All right.
I'll second the motion, Chubro.
Do we have any issue with that? I think we can do it with consensus. So if anybody's not speaking about the resolution on the agenda, which is item judicial. It is under judicial public safety, items number 1 and 2. Is there anybody here?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely correct. Is there anyone who's here today who is not going to be speaking on items number 2 and 3? All right, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. We can bring you up first.
Oh, see.
And then, is that what you would request?
Yes.
Is that, or do you, that's it?
Just move the judicial public safety agenda first, and the people that are going to speak on it can speak, and they can go home and get back to the rest of their lives.
Oh.
I know our meeting is very exciting, but
We've got,
you guys can find other things to do.
we have a robust, is that an agreement with everybody? We can, because we're going to move it anyway, but I
Yeah.
think let's move it to the very beginning. That makes perfect sense. All right, so let's, Mr. Onsick, we're going to delay your monthly financials and the update from the PIO. Old business, new business.
Point of order, Madam Chairman, so were we going to have public comment by someone that is not?
No.
Addressing
no,
that?
My mistake. No, I think, well, all right, let me breathe for a minute because we're changing things.
Sure.
We can have public comment by all of our speakers, but it was asked, in my understanding, is to have the public comment only for those speakers who are concerned about items number 2 and 3 from Judicial Public Safety Committee. Is that what your suggestion is?
Yes.
What was it?
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
we're in
Chair.
consensus with that. I do not believe that we need a vote.
And then we would have the others that have another topic follow later.
We'll follow in
My chaperone, my understanding is that Mr. Kenyon's suggestion was to advance those items on the agenda. So we don't go through the other agenda items before we get to that. So is that
well, the,
correct, Mr. Kenyon?
Yes, yes.
So would we have public comment on something else first?
we'd have public comment then on. We're going to advance that agenda item, which is going to be regarding finance. We'd have to advance the Finance Committee discussion as well before preceding everything else, because we have a single speaker, I believe, who wants to talk about the budget. So are we prepared to do that?
My understanding is the appropriate, based on what Mr. Kenyon says, which we could change, is the public comment would proceed.
Microphone, Mr.
Sorry,
Chaperone.
right, the public comment would proceed as scheduled, but the agenda item itself would be advanced to be the first item after public comment.
That'll,
So no public commentator has to sit and wait for later.
okay, so let's clarify what the suggestion is. We have 2 items now. One is for judicial public safety. We will return back to item 1 because that has got nothing to do with the issue where all these citizens are here. The second item would be the speaker who wants to present on, all speakers will be speaking beforehand. Then we will go on to our Finance Committee on all issues that relate specifically to the budget. And there's a series of amendments that have to be passed through this committee to make recommendation to the board. Yes, sir.
It's John Martin. I don't know if I heard correctly. But it is the procedure now that we're going to have the speakers and then we're going to deal with the public safety, the 2 issues related to guns and noise as the next following item. That's my understanding of what the motion was intended to be. And if that's
Yes.
what you said, then I apologize for making you repeat it, but I just want to make sure I know
That's
what we're
fine.
doing.
I would, exactly. No problem.
Okay.
So I mean, what I'm hearing, the recommendation is on the table, is that we have all speakers speak.
Yes.
And then we address the issue of items 2 and 3 for judicial public safety. Then we move on to our Finance Committee to address all the issues that relate specifically to the budget. And then we can return back to those items because judicial public safety has another item, item number 1, that is unrelated to the reason why these fine people are here. And then we have other items for finance that have nothing to do why this gentleman is here.
Wow.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We ready? We could get done by now. Okay,
Make it so.
so we have a consensus to do that. Okay, that is my recommendation to do so. And thank you so much for bringing it up, Mr. Kenyon. All right. So without further ado, let's get back to public comment, please. I'd like to remind everybody that we want to assure that this is civil discourse. I will reprimand you if I hear any curse words. We have we have ladies and gentlemen in the audience, and this is a public forum, please. If you're speaking to topic, you are allowed 5 minutes. Please let us know if you're speaking to topic. If you're off topic, you'll have 3 minutes. And we look forward to hearing your comments. So I will go down the list. We'll start with one that was submitted to me last night in written form, and one of our board members will be reading that. And then I'll be calling each one of your names. When you come up to the podium, could you please announce your name and the city that you are from or the village? And then you can begin, and we'll have a timer, and we'll let you know when you get close to your 3 or 5 minutes. And then it is a hard stop. So thank you. Yes.
Madam Chair, just before just before we get going, could we also mention, either Mr. Sturgis or yourself, that it's my understanding that those 2 items that most of these people are speaking on is going to be moved back to committee?
That'll be my recommendation, and it will be up to the committee to decide that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, ready to begin? Okay.
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 This comment is from Jeffrey Meyer. I don't know his address. Dear Kane County Board Executive Committee members, our firm represents the St. Charles Sports Club concerning the above referenced matters, which is the amending chapters 12 and 13 of the Kane County Code. The SCSC is located at 44W471 Kesslinger Road, Elburn, Illinois, 60119, near the southwest corner of Route 47 and Kesslinger Roads in unincorporated Elburn Township, and occupies approximately 70 acres of land. The SCSC, founded in 1933, is an Illinois not-for-profit organization dedicated to the principles of sportsmanship and conservation, committed to promoting and preserving the shooting sports in a safe, friendly environment. I write you today on behalf of the SCSC to express concerns and to pose some questions concerning the above referenced proposed ordinance amendments. The SCSC appreciates the county board's effort to protect and accept firearm discharge for target exempt, I believe. Firearm discharge for target, trap, or skeet shooting at an established shooting sports facility from the provisions of the proposed amended firearm discharge ordinance. This exception appears to apply to the shooting sports activities at the SCSC. However, many SCSC members and Kane County residents safely enjoy shooting sports at locations in Kane County outside of the SCSC's facilities. The ordinance as drafted makes it a violation to discharge a firearm where that is likely to subject residents or passersby to the risk of injury. The ordinance does not define what constitutes likely nor what is a risk of injury, quote unquote. All shooting sports inherently carry some risk of harm, even when practiced safely. It seems unlikely this board is seeking to make all such activity a violation of the county's ordinances, but the proposed language may inadvertently make otherwise lawful conduct a violation. The ordinance contains no language that would inform the public or law enforcement in advance. Somebody needs to mute, please. Peter Phillips, please mute. It seems unlikely this board is seeking to make all such activity a violation of the county's ordinances, but the proposed language may inadvertently make otherwise lawful conduct a violation. The ordinance contains no language that would inform the public or law enforcement in advance as to what constitutes a likely risk of harm. The SCSC respectfully encourages you to table further consideration of this proposed ordinance and transfer the ordinance back to the Judicial/Public Safety Committee for further dialogue and refinement that may enhance transparency and predictability, address the public's concerns and questions, and provide a more objective standard for both residents and law enforcement when assessing what would constitute conduct quote, likely, unquote, to present a, quote, risk of injury, unquote. It may also guide this board's deliberations to note that the criminal code already bars and criminalizes the reckless discharge of a firearm, and a tool exists for the public and law enforcement's utilization where shooting sports are performed recklessly. See 720 ILCS 5/24-1.5. The proposed amendment to the county board's nuisance (sound) ordinance does not appear intended to apply to the discharge of firearms. However, the simultaneous consideration of this ordinance amendment and the amendment to the firearm discharge ordinance raises concern and may inadvertently be interpreted as doing so. The SCSC respectfully requests the board table further consideration of this proposed ordinance and transfer the ordinance back to the Judicial Public Safety Committee for further dialogue and revision that would clarify the lawful firearm use and discharge shall not, in any respect be deemed amplified sound for purposes of this ordinance. Thank you for your consideration of the SCSC's comments and concerns. Please do not hesitate to contact me with any questions you may have. Sincerely, Jeffrey Meyer,
Thank you.
Attorneys at law, Sycamore, Illinois. Okay, now I need a drink of water.
All right. Mr. Meyer, Mayor, M-A-H-E-R.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's on. Well, my name is Brian Marr. I live in Geneva Township. I'd like to thank you all for giving me an opportunity to speak on the issue brought forward in the Daily Herald regarding a new noise ordinance, which would make the discharge of a firearm a nuisance in unincorporated areas.
I think you gotta get up a little closer to that
A
microphone.
little closer.
Lift it
There you
up.
go. Okay.
You lift it up.
Pull it up.
I understand and can certainly empathize with people having issues with neighbors. What I'm struggling to understand is what this amendment to Chapter 12 is meant to accomplish that current laws do not already.
Please get closer so we can all hear you. Can you lift it up?
Microphone closer to you,
Yeah, we want to hear you.
like
so-
you're a rock star.
Got it, Mr. Kenyon.
You
You should
are.
know about that. So it adds the definition of a residential area being 3 houses within 300 yards. It makes it a violation to discharge a firearm where such a discharge is likely to subject residents or passerbys to the risk of injury. This is already codified in 720 ILCS 524-1.5, as we know, reckless discharge. Regarding the South Elgin property that was under discussion in the judicial meeting, Mr. Leisure states that residents are shooting guns at all hours, 50 yards away, separated by a fence. Mr. Lysian stated that he's witnessed residents shooting AR-15s into drums. Sheriff Haynes says we can't be shooting randomly in neighborhoods anymore. Well, current law would give sheriff's deputies reason to act in all of these instances. 50 yards away, that's too close under current law. They could be cited. Shooting into drums, that's not a proper backstop. They could be cited. Shooting randomly. Really? I mean, shooting randomly, that's no one should be doing that. Agreed. Year to date, there were 69 call outs for shots fired on Sheriff Haynes' incident report. There were more calls for abandoned vehicles and mini bike complaints during this period. And I would imagine that most, if not all of these, were already considered reckless or illegal discharge subject to enforcement under current laws. The chairperson stated that she is stunned and bemused that a random shot could go astray like in Chicago. The rhetoric of comparing this issue to the illegal guns, the illegal gun ownership, and the illegal discharge happening multiple times a day in Chicago, quite frankly, is insulting to the residents of this county and shows a glaring lack of understanding and fear of legal gun ownership. If people at this small number of properties are mixing guns and alcohol, not following downrange protocols, and catching every bullet as they should be, then I want them shut down as much as anyone here. They're giving legal gun owners, law-abiding gun owners, a bad name. I understand there are a lot of issues related to the blending of urban and rural areas, and I appreciate the complexities that you're all wrestling with. I'm sure it's not easy. However, I do not feel that more laws which will affect the minority to control a few are the necessary path forward for this issue. So, thank you.
The next speaker is Stephen Berglund.
Morning, my name is Steve. I'm sure you're going to hear it round and round again. Same concerns for most of us is
Mr. Berglund, could I have your whole name in the microphone, please?
Stephen Berglund. Sorry.
And where are you from?
Elgin.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry. Like I was saying, most of us are probably all going to say the same thing, whereas there are laws for reckless discharge in place already. I feel like we're leaning more towards a sound ordinance. And there are ways to get around sound, which would be legalize suppressors, which this state is one of, I think, one of the only ones that is illegal to own one of those things. I don't foresee discharging in rural areas as a issue, as why wasn't hunting brought up, but target shooting is a concern for a lot of people. I did watch a video from our Sheriff Hain where he was stating that we're leaning more towards residential areas, but it is not worded that way in articles and any other sorts of paperwork that I've been able to find. So I think it needs to have more clarity as to what we're aiming for. I agree that guns should not be discharged in neighborhoods where houses are 15 feet apart from each other. I don't care if it's your own land or not. That's just reckless. And I believe there are laws in place for that. So I don't know why we are trying to push the matter even further other than to infringe on our Second Amendment rights. So that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Duke Wall.
Good morning to the board. I'm Duke Wall, Batavia, Illinois, and I have got the impression that this issue has caught a lot of people off guard. And I spoke with, well, actually you spoke to us before the meeting, Madam Chair, and said that perhaps maybe a group of people concerned that, you know, we're all going to repeat the same things here. That perhaps maybe we should have a committee, but a committee liaison from the board. And my suggestion would be the person that my assumption is that when people introduce such ordinances to the board, they come from the committee, they come from the board members. Could that board member be the head of that committee liaison to the board itself? We would like to speak to that person and let them know, you know, what their concerns are, what our concerns are, and where he was coming from when he introduced this bill to this ordinance to the committee here. So if that person could be assigned to be the liaison, we could probably abbreviate and clarify a lot of issues that we're going to have when we try to talk to the board. And then perhaps maybe we can table this issue, move it along, or modify it in some way, shape, or form that makes a lot of other people a lot happier than they are right now, because they're really, really upset right now. They're all spring loaded and they're you understand that, okay? All right, thank you. I'm going to yield my time to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Jeffrey Meisner.
Jeffrey Meisner, St. Charles, Illinois, lived in Geneva since 62. I remember when they took away you from shooting a BB gun in your backyard. And this is just another step. Somebody decided that BB guns were very dangerous. We never shot them in our backyard. We used to shoot them in a swamp. And even that got outlawed. So I look at this as, are we gonna tell Elburn Police Department they can't shoot where they practice? Because that's very close to a whole subdivision. I used to live out there. I lived in St. Charles here when I got out of the service over on Larson Avenue, and a bunch of residents complained about the noise from the airplanes. I look at them and tell them, why'd you buy near an airport? You can't complain about that. It was there long before you moved here. And it's the same thing with this 3 houses. There's people that intentionally put 3 houses together so brothers and sisters could live on a farm and do what they wanted to on their own property. Are you going to stop that too? I look at this as has already been said, an infringement on our Second Amendment rights. We have enough going on in this state for that already. I don't think Kane County needs to get involved in that argument. Thank you.
Matt Lazian?
Hello. My name's Matt Lyson. I am speaking on agenda. I live just west of Coron Road in unincorporated Elgin. I have lived my entire life since I was 3 years
Matt,
old.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you put the mic closer to you so we can hear you?
Sorry.
That's perfect.
I have lived my entire life since I was 3 years old in Kane County. It's been a wonderful place to live. My number one priority has always been to provide a safe and peaceful environment for my family. I am not anti-firearm. I am not anti-hunting by any stretch. It takes a lot for me to complain about anything. I've never complained to a public official about my neighbors or anything my entire life. But when it comes to my family's safety, that I will complain about. We had neighbors move in next door that are constantly throwing parties with live music that starts on a Friday, goes through the night, into Saturday, into Sunday. At the end of their weekend bender, on Sunday afternoon, they start shooting what I've been told by the deputies that have been out are AR-style rifles at a 55-gallon drum in their yard. The shooting occurs less than 100 feet from my patio and is aimed in the direction of my children's playset and trampoline. I've called the sheriff several times. The deputies have acknowledged that they are not shooting safely, but that there is apparently nothing they can do about it. It was absolutely mind-boggling to me that there was nothing they could do to stop them. My backyard sounds like a war zone when these people are shooting. I have a video from the camera in my backyard from my deck that I'd like to share. That is right outside my back door. Here's another video of how the weekend typically starts. Again, that video is from right outside my back door. I am sure the people that are here to speak against this ordinance do not represent my issue and what I have going on. I know there are plenty of responsible firearms owners and people that shoot responsibly. I have absolutely no problem with that. I've always taken pride in my home and where I live. I love the community. But now I wonder what is going to happen every single weekend and if I'm going to be able to safely sit on my patio or if the kids can have their friends over to play in the backyard. If anyone has an argument as to why we should continue to allow this type of behavior in the area, I am all ears. Would anyone here welcome this type of behavior in their backyard? How does it look for us as a county if we do nothing about this? And then in the future, my children's play set is hit by an errant bullet or someone gets injured. Thank you.
Philip Del Sato. I did not pronounce your last name right at all.
It's all right. Good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to the executive board. My name is Phil Delasto. I'm an unincorporated Hampshire Township. I moved to Hampshire Township in 1987 on this same place I live now. I was in my early 30s. Next birthday, I'm 70. In all those years, I've occasionally shot my 22. And I'm on 10 acres of land. My neighbor, who's within 300 yards, in other words, 3 football fields, has an FFL. He's a federal firearms licensee, but he counts as one of the houses that goes to the 3 houses that have that are for within 300 yards. I can't shoot. And then the other side of me, there's another house, I don't know, maybe 150 yards away, and he shoots. And then there's a third house that's probably within 200 yards. I don't know if they shoot or not, but all I know is I live out in the county. I live where I've lived for 35 years. I responsibly shoot my 22, and your proposed law will prohibit that. And I appreciate the last speaker's point. He has a point, and I don't know what we or you should do about that. But when you do whatever you do about that, I don't see why you should take away my rights, my privileges to shoot my 22 out in the country with farms on behind me, farms on the other side of me, but houses on the other side, houses on multiple acres of land. You know, I have 10, another one has 9. I don't know how much the other one has, but it all adds up to 30, 40 acres. But 300 yards is a lot of a long distance. And you're going to encompass a few houses when you do that. Maybe 50 feet is ridiculously short. Maybe it should be 100 yards. I don't know. But 3 houses in 300 yards will prohibit me from doing what I occasionally do responsibly and appropriately. And I would like you to address that if you revise the ordinance. And my final point would be that, you know, airplanes buzz over my house quite loud. And farmers with those tremendous lights on their modern equipment are out there harvesting into the late hours of the night. And it doesn't occur to me to complain about those things. Equally, if you want to pass an ordinance that encompasses time limits or maybe not on Sundays in terms of shooting, that's reasonable. But at the end of the day, I don't think you should prohibit something because there are 3 houses within 300 yards. That's just too limiting and inappropriate because it brings into account all kinds of relatively rural properties like mine. Thank you very much.
Pamela Gilmore.
Hello, I'm Pam Gilmore. I live in unincorporated St. Charles. I have some things to pass around if we could to you all.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Surges.
My family and I have lived in the same house for 25 years. We live on a street where there's only 11 houses, and 9 out of the 11 houses have about an acre, maybe an acre and a half. And in the 25 years, we've never had any issues. In the last 2 or 3 years, one neighbor who's lived there the same time we have put a Target in his backyard. Then a new neighbor moved in and put a Target in their backyard. This has become a huge problem. They're shooting at all times, safely, I'm sure. However, my daughter bought the house right across the street from us, which is right next door to the neighbor who shoots consistently. In these packets, you'll see the pictures of the targets. You'll also see the bullet holes in the fence to my daughter's house and the bullets that we found on my grandchildren's play set and on my daughter's deck. So I, like this gentleman here, feel like we have a responsibility to keep our children safe, our families safe, and it's kind of gotten out of hand. I am a gun holder myself. I'm an Illinois concealed carry owner. However, I would never go outside and shoot my gun in the neighborhood. It's not responsible. But this is what's happening in a lot of our neighborhoods, and we have called the police. And we got the same response that this gentleman did, that there's nothing they can do. I don't know what they'll do when they hit a child or a person. Beyond this, and I know you all can't see this, but beyond this, these houses is a road, and it's not even 500 feet. So when they're shooting into their targets, if a car goes down that road that goes to the house that's there, or a child's riding their bike, they're going to get killed. That's not an if, that's a when. And Schaumburg, what is it, Schaumburg Road or whatever, is also not even 1,000 feet from there. Cars are going up and down there all the time. Unexpectedly, they're going to get killed. Shooting should be in the appropriate places, not in neighborhoods where we all live and children play. I was devastated to watch my 6-year-old granddaughter hit the ground, scared, when the bullets started shooting at their neighbor's house. That's what they're taught in school. There's an active shooter. What are you supposed to do? Take cover. Our children are taking cover in their own backyards. So this, I don't know about the rest of the ordinance, but this needs to be addressed for the safety of our families and our children, and specifically for my grandchildren that live next door to what's happening here. We have called the police. They've done nothing. We've called them several times. They've done nothing, and it just gets worse. So I asked the board and the people here to look at this and consider, this is not about taking our rights away. This is about keeping our community safe. And in a subdivision where there's 11 houses and children, people playing, people should not be out shooting their guns. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce Pedersen. See here, Bruce? Peter Lindgren.
Hello, my name is Peter Lindgren. I'm a resident of Elburn. I specifically moved to Kane County to enjoy the rural lifestyle. I agree that there are instances where something should be done. I'm a safe shooter. I have 8 acres. My property is a 1/4 mile deep. And when I fire my weapon, I'm 200 yards away from my own house. However, my neighbors are all within that 300-yard circle. I don't live in a subdivision. While I agree that something should be done for these instances where there are problems specifically in subdivisions when people are measuring people firing off weapons within feet of their homes, I feel that the new ordinance is too all-encompassing for all of the responsible gun owners out there. Thank you.
Thank you. William Allman.
My name is William Allman. unincorporated West Dundee, Illinois. In regard to the accidental possibility of someone being shot. I was a firefighter paramedic for 30 years. I've been to a good number of accidental shootings. Every one of them was self-inflicted. A gun falling off a shelf, kid twirling a 6 gun in his hand, shot himself. Not one from anyone accidentally shooting a neighbor or a friend or anything. Not that they do not happen, they do happen. The other thing, I buy a new shotgun, $500 shotgun, put a $200 scope on it, and I'm not allowed to sight it in on my property. I'm going to go deer hunting in West Kane County, out beyond 47. I'm going to fire that gun not knowing where the bullets are going. That's what a shotgun slug looks like. It's a whole bunch of lead coming out of the end of the bullet, out of the end of the gun. You want me to shoot that gun not knowing where the bullets are going because I can't sight it in? It's not a good thing. Same with varmint hunting. Varmint hunting, high caliber, high velocity round, can hold 15 in my gun. If I'm not allowed to sight it in, where are those bullets going to go as I shoot at that coyote running across the field? 15 times. Where are the bullets going? I don't know. Can't sight in my gun. You need to consider these things when you talk about this ordinance. It's, to me, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Up to you. Thanks.
Matt Lyons, I think is spelled right. Carissa Romillard.
Good morning. My name is Carissa Remillard. Good try. And I live in unincorporated Virgil Township. Technically, address is Maple Park. I have two main issues with this proposed amendment to the ordinance. One is, what is the data backing the need for this ordinance? We've heard two stories today, which do seem to cause problems and do need to be addressed. But what is the over-encompassing data as to the need for this ordinance? My second issue is that the wording is very unclear, as many have already pointed out. You have people who are going to be under this ordinance who live in that subdivision with 11 houses that perhaps this ordinance would be a good thing for. But you're also going to have people like many of the other speakers who live on 5+ acres, 10+ acres, who now are not going to be able to safely discharge their firearms because of their residents and the residents surrounding them, assumably, being within 300 yards. I can speak for my own residents. I'm currently living with a family that's lived on 7 acres for the last 60 years. They are within 300 yards of their own house, of a neighbor's house who also lives on another 7 acres, and another neighbor who lives on 15 acres. But their shooting berm is not pointing towards any of those houses. Their shooting berm is a safe setup, but this ordinance does not allow them to shoot any longer on their own property. When it says 300 yards, where is the 300 yards starting from? Is it from where the firearm is discharged? The amendment does not address this. Is it from where the property lines are? There are farms that are hundreds of acres, but where the residents on those farms are at the road, they may be within 300 yards of other farm houses. Can they shoot on their back 100 acres? The wording of this amendment does not address this. Does the firearms owner's residence count towards those 3 residences? The ordinance does not address this. It is not clear enough. It affects many ruralites. The sheriff himself said in his video, this is not meant to affect ruralites and their ability to target shoot, but it does, as per the testimony of many people who have come up and spoken today. I agree that there should be something done for subdivision areas I am wondering why the Illinois reckless discharge of firearms law is not being brought into play here. Perhaps a different ordinance needs to be drafted. This ordinance for sure must be amended before it is passed, because as it stands right now, it is going to restrict the lawful use of firearms for many of your constituents. I encourage you to take this into consideration. Thank you.
Regina Barrett?
I have a couple of questions first. So was this not already tabled?
Regina, before you begin, could you please, your residence, where you live?
Yes, Regina Bartlett. I'm in unincorporated Caneville Township, but Maple Park address.
Very good.
I
It
guess-
has not been tabled.
Okay, because I was informed by Drew Fraz yesterday that this was tabled as well as the noise amendment. So others were informed that this had already been tabled, which is why many of them are not here. I even spoke with Ron Hain, who also confirmed that, yes, this has been tabled until December 15th. Let me just double check the date. Until, yes, December 15th at 9 a.m. So I'm confused why the sheriff would say this and why our county board.
I'll speak. It has to be voted upon, and I don't usually respond to speakers, but please give me the liberty. It has to be tabled by this committee. It's presented to this committee, and the committee as a whole has to recommend what it'd like to do with this. So we have to go through the process.
Okay. I guess my first request then would be, just keep in mind, many more would have shown up, but between being told that it was moved and given a specific date of December 15th, many others are not here to express their opinions that should have had that opportunity. And then is this regarding both the noise and do you want me to address both my concerns with?
You're being timed, so you got 3 minutes, all right?
But for which one, or is it both?
Whichever one you'd like.
I guess I will go with the firearms one. I spoke with Ron Hain yesterday and we kind of discussed, he, in his video, how he did not want to prevent people from target shooting. And so we walked through a couple of examples of people in our neighborhood and at our house. And he had explained that, no, those should be fine. And then I said, well, according to the rule, it's within these perimeters and 3 houses. And he had said, oh, we might be able to make an exception. So then we discussed one of our neighbors who also his house is surrounded by other people's homes, who also has a berm and does target shooting. And I explained how they have it built up and it's lead, and they had kind of explained it to me. And he had said, oh, well, we can come out and look at it and make an exception. My question is, this is really confusing that we would make exceptions for certain people. And then what happens if we have a different sheriff in? Does that change? We're creating a rule that that covers everyone, encompasses everyone, and is infringing on their Second Amendment rights when it shouldn't apply to everyone. There's different situations. By all means, what these people have experienced is terrible. Civilly, that's how it's handled in courts. We can't be a court of law in deciding this damage and what's happening. That's how those issues are addressed. So again, I apologize that this is happening to them, and it is terrible. But at the same time, I'm asking that all of our rights aren't infringed upon just based upon a few that have had a bad experience, or our rights are infringed upon, even though the sheriff himself says, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Yet under the verbiage, it is. And then I guess until I run out of time, I would like to address the 75 feet rule with regards to the noise ordinance that was addressed. This is one that I know Kuiper's Farm currently has as a part of their liquor license. And I can tell you that as the neighbor, his neighbor, and a parent with a child with sensory, much like one of the other parents was explaining, I find my child along our back fence line, curled up in a ball, crawling and crying because she's in sensory overload, because she can't handle the sound of the music that is the bands, the music that's being played from his house. Yet the area where she's at in our property is within the 75 feet of his property line. So technically there are no regulations within that 75 feet. It could technically be louder. So I think, but again, I was told both of these would be tabled, so.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I believe we have one more speaker. Please.
Good morning, Mark Avalar, a resident of Algonquin. I live in the 23rd district. I wanted to talk, listening to all the speakers reminds me of the old song, and
I'm sorry, on topic or off topic?
I guess I'm going to be on topic now. I wasn't planning, but listening to the speakers, it just inspired me to remember, okay, the old song, the song remains the same. This ordinance was discussed at the October 13 meeting of the Judicial and Public Safety Committee, and hopefully this is not the first time this feedback has been expressed. I heard through Twitter from an Elburn resident that November 10th was going to be the next discussion point, presumably with action by this committee to send it back to committee. Yet well-intentioned ordinances, and there's just a plethora of things that start out great. It gets to a point of passage, or in some places they do pass, and misinformation or not taking the holistic approach of taking all sides has impacted the community. Clearly, this ordinance, I'm sure the public Chair Molina will listen to the residents and you'll bring to a consensus to a holistic approach to address the real safety issues as well as not infringe on Second Amendment. I had a meeting with one of the local congressmen yesterday about a similar thing. Again, people not taking the holistic approach of ensuring all people, and the issue is immaterial here, except that we're hearing this all the time. And then what I originally want to talk about is, what about the Safety Act? It seems to be on everybody's mind. I've definitely noticed, it was passed, it was well intended, but our state's attorney has been insanely busy, and terrific that she's on the forefront ensuring that the Safety Act will be right. And I want to thank the county for broadcasting the last legislative committee, because I've been sharing her video because there's too much disinformation, no matter what anybody's views are on the Safety Act. And State's Attorney Mosser, I know she's not here in person today, but certainly she should be greatly commended and for taking the leadership role that she has. And I remember after the August Executive Committee meeting, I remember having that discussion saying, hey, this is about to go in. We're hearing the Will County State's Attorney and the DuPage State's Attorney on July 4th. And here we are on November 2nd. And I do hope that it's prevailed upon next in 2 weeks at the veto session to postpone the next implementation of the Safety Act by 6 months from what I heard at the Legislative Committee. I realize that could be 2 weeks old. So holistically take this approach. I mean, and please, and something that the congressman I was talking to yesterday at a chamber event, I started getting talking points. And those of you who've worked with me in recent years will know that nothing gets my dandruff up worse than someone just repeating talking points and not getting to the core problem. And I'm confident that the Judicial Public Safety Committee will not get caught in a talking point. They're going to take everybody's inputs and come to a reasonable compromise to address the genuine public safety concerns, as well as not to infringe on individual rights. So I encourage the committee, and certainly the example of our state's attorney having to be reactive on the Safety Act I'm looking to the county board to be proactive to address this genuine issue. So thank you for hearing me out, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you. All right.
Question for you.
I would like to obey the protocol if we don't mind. But the question, if you would like to, we can suspend that for this purpose, if we may, to have you address the question. I don't know if we can answer it, but if you'd like to come up to the podium, sir. And once again, name in the city or village.
Andrew Sebastiano, unincorporated Hampshire. I thought I signed up to speak at this. Obviously, I did not. So I appreciate you guys taking your time to let me speak. I am an FFL dealer in Hampshire. I also teach concealed carry. I have a federal firearm license. My neighbor is here. So I do own a gun shop in Hampshire. And a few questions is this about a sound ordinance? Is it also about firearms? I mean, because as a residential and unincorporated, I'm sitting on a 10-acre plot. I have built a proper berm. I've had state out. I have ATF out monthly and state ISP out monthly. So they are commonly around questioning, looking at my establishment, looking at how I am doing things and how I'm taking care of my business and everything else. So, I mean, we have tractors going by, we have lights going on, we have crop dusters, and we have trains. So as a sound ordinance, I don't know how this is, we have other sorts of noises. And as other things go on, sorry, I got to read some of the stuff. The 300-yard rule, like I said, where is it taking place? Because on my 10-acre parcel, I'm going close back to almost the 9-acre mark. So I am well away from everybody else, every other house. And when I have people doing the concealed carry classes, they are shooting where I shoot because I have certain designated spots with burns and whatnot to properly shoot. We are all under safety. I have FBI agents there that are teaching classes. So, I mean, I have law enforcement on my property when this is going on, to facilitate and make sure everything stays safe, stays true. And if you have any questions or concerns, they are there to help you word it, take care of it, and show you and guide you. Once again, it's been brought up, about how our Second Amendments are being attacked horribly right now. That, it's just hard. Granted, like other speakers have said, the circumstances where they have kids and family within 75 feet or 100 feet of their house. Yes, something should be done. But out in the country where 10-acre lots, like you said, there's 40 acres between 4 houses. It's hard to stipulate, between a rural or subdivision and country. But I just wanted to make it known, speak up, voice, and appreciate the time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. And no, I'm sorry. Everyone who's had a chance to speak now has had a chance to speak. Mr. Foz, yes.
Yeah, I just feel compelled to say something because my name was called out by one of the speakers. I fielded 24 calls on Monday and Tuesday, calls and emails reference this, answered every one of them probably within the hour. I talked to Mr. Sturgis and sent him and the sheriff an email. They promptly responded, and the response was that they were going to pull this from the agenda today, which I expect will happen. But I think what the audience needs to understand is that public comment comes before the item. So we can't pull it off agenda until everybody has spoken.
Correct.
So
And I thought that.
any implication that something nefarious took place is totally false.
Nefarious and Mr. Foz are just, it's not an adjective I would ever use for you, sir. All right, very good. Now, thank you. Thank you all to all of you for showing up and taking time out of your very busy day to express your concerns and your needs to the board. Your words are always important to us. And as we go on to our business, please, I'd like to encourage you to always be mindful of what the board is doing. This is your county together. It's your county, our county. And we need your guidance and your insights as we move forward in making our county a better, more and enjoyable place for all of us to live, and obviously a safe and secure place for all of us to live. So we need your voices with that. And so with that, I think we should start addressing the issue at hand.
Madam Chair, Surges. I'm not sure what Mr. Kenyon's original motion was on this. Was just, I'm kind of lost at this point.
Okay,
Was it just to hear the speakers, or would you accept the motion at this time to return this to committee?
No, we are going to go back to the scheduled meeting, but we have moved the agenda. So, Ms. Molina, I'd like to recognize you now for Judicial Public Safety Committee Chair, and I believe the items to be addressed are items number 2 and number 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to echo your thanks to the public speakers. I'd also like to thank Mr. Kenyon and Ms. Warnicki for bringing this issue that their constituents had to our county development and to our sheriff. Sheriff Hain has worked to try to get this ordinance right, but I'd like to think that we don't operate in a silo, and would like to make sure that we have input from all interested parties. Our Farm Bureau has requested time to review these ordinances. Therefore, my motion for both ordinances is to move back to our JPS committee for the December meeting, allowing time for anyone who is interested in providing feedback to do so.
Gums will second. Yes, sir.
As the JPS Vice Chair, I was going to second the motion.
Okay, please.
Any of the seconds are fine.
Let me give it to you, sir. Is there any discussion on this? We're tabling on the table until December. What was the date again?
We're moving this back to the committee for discussion at the December JPS meeting.
A date. Do we know the date of that meeting? Can somebody find that out so we can put that in the minutes?
It is.
December 15th,
Thank you. Thank you.
9 a.m.
So this is going to be tabled to
So
December
this is
15th.
Actually, a motion not to table, but to refer.
Refer.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. To refer. All right, Ms. Moline, could you state it one more time for clarity?
Sure. My motion is to refer back to the JPS December 15th meeting, both ordinances to be discussed at that meeting.
And could you discuss what those both ordinances are for the record?
Yes, bear with me one second because
Just so we have complete clarity.
It is items
Sure.
2.
It
and
is items
3.
2, amending chapter 2 of the King County Code, and
Chapter
item
12,
3,
chapter 12.
12.
amending chapter 15 of the King County Code.
Okay, so very good. Thank you. We have it second.
And my second stance.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you. I just had a quick comment. Since we are talking about this right now and there's a little bit of time that's going to pass until it comes up again, I would just like to make a request informally, obviously, that our staff, related staff, I think that would be development, work with the sheriff and the state's attorney to take some of the comments we've heard today and see if they can get ahead of this and translate that into some suggested amendments so that when we get to the Judicial and Public Safety Committee meeting, we're not all trying to figure it out right there. We've already got some homework done from staff and state's attorney, because I do think the intention is good here and isn't meant to limit a lot of the activity that was discussed today.
Very good.
Madam Chair. To add a little bit to what Mr. Sanchez said, if there were exceptions that the sheriff was willing to consider, such as these professional berms or something like that, that could be issues, those could be the issues that the committee or the we should look at ahead of time.
Any exceptions, I believe, has to be
Exceptions.
codified.
Right.
Are there any other questions?
And Madam Chair, the reason I requested the December meeting is because a lot of our Farm Bureau members are in the middle of harvest right now. And I think it's very important for them to provide input, and they're busy in November. So just for
Absolutely.
clarification, that was the reason why I chose December.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I'm sorry, we take no more comments from the audience at this point, but you can certainly certainly contact me and I'll make sure, or Miss Molina. And we can bring it back forth. I would welcome any of your names that I will let you make decision of this group of individuals, because I assume some of you know each other. Some of you may be neighbors who are impacted this. If you would like to have interest in serving on a ad hoc community committee, please refer your name to my assistant, Jane Talish. And very easy to get a hold of us. And we will take your name and your contact information, and I will refer those to Ms. Molina, and we will discuss and give you a appropriate time when we're going to be holding that meeting. At it'll probably be like in the afternoon or morning, but we'll figure that out later on. So please let us know so that we make sure that the language and your concerns are addressed appropriately. So with that, are there any other comments?
Call the question?
Yes. Call the question, sir. Can we take the vote?
Please repeat the motion. So everybody understands. What?
The motion to re-refer article to amendment to Article 12 and Article 15 or of the county code back to the Judicial Public Safety Committee meeting on December 15th.
Thank you. Thank you.
2022.
2022.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yeah.
Us,
Raz, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe,
Happy, yes.
Davist,
Davist, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Girard.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you all for coming. Please feel free to stay if you'd like to hear the rest of our discussion. If not, have a good harvest for those people who are in the process. If not, we will see you very soon. All right, I'd like to bring the next order, and that'll be Mr. Berman.
Resource for.
Are you ready?
What was it? I'm sorry.
We are going to be moving per recommendation. Let me get my notes. Items number 1 through.
Madam Chair, aren't we going back to the
1 through
financial report?
No, not yet,
Oh,
sir.
okay.
1 through 24.
I wonder if we could have our financial report before that. Our discussion of the draft budget and whatever. I think Ronzik has several things that he.
Mr. Berman, could you use your microphone, please?
I'm sorry. Mr. Ronzik has several things to present, whether we do that during the finance part of it or part of his report.
It was the recommendation to have this go forward previously. Yes, Mr.
Madam
Martin.
Chair, if it's appropriate, and if it's a clarification, I would move that we revert to the original agenda as submitted with the exception of what we've already done, so that the next item on the agenda would be monthly financials, and we would proceed in accordance with that order.
I believe that that
We
is
have-
actually
That was,
procedurally a call for the orders of the day. And it's not a motion.
My goodness, then I move that we proceed, follow the orders of the day.
Are we all in agreement? Do we need a vote for that? or
Yes.
just
Next number
consensus?
6 on our agenda.
Very good. Okay, let's
Like that we
return.
move the attorney to that side of the room.
We have one speaker, I think, Mr. Avalar, who'd be, I think he enjoys staying. All right, so let me get my notes together. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. I do have a few items. Some of them do pertain directly to the budget. So specifically, the draft budget itself, that there is a resolution to approve it for public display. I did want to make it clear that included in the draft budget that would be placed on public display is a document called the non-union base wage schedule. And there has been a couple of minor modifications to that schedule that were made. In which case, the first one was an additional state's attorney's office position was added to that list. It was already in the budget, it just was missing from that list. So it does not change the budget dollars in any way, but it needs to be added to the list. So we added that missing position to the list. And then we also modified the description of the 5 new circuit clerk office positions that are being added as a result of the Safety Act. So here's just a correction to the description. So that modified document, the non-union base wage schedule document, has been posted outside of the agenda packet as a separate document. And so what I'm just drawing your attention to or pointing out or having you acknowledge is that when you do vote to place the budget on public display, it would be by also replacing that non-union base wage schedule that's included in the draft budget with the one that's posted outside, just so that these corrections could be included. So it's a lot of words to explain a simple little thing that we're trying to do. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I did provide for you a brand new updated summary of the general fund, but I'm not going to go through it because the only thing I did was pull out any references to the union wage increase. Since that was pulled out of the budget, I also then went back and pulled any references to it out of that presentation so that there's no confusion there. So that's all that changed there. The other thing I would like to comment on, if you would allow me to, and it was brought to my attention regarding that press release that was issued that is challenging the county board to increase the budget for investment revenue by $2 million. And I just wanted to offer my perspective as the finance director from a practical standpoint. And although I can appreciate the desire to make such change to the budget, I mean, it appeals to my nature as a perfectionist, I do want to make you aware of a couple of things. First of all, it's not necessary to change the investment revenue budget. Changing the investment revenue budget will not have any impact on the actual amount of investment revenue that will be earned. If the investments do earn an additional $2 million of interest, that additional $2 million of interest are going to be earned whether it's in the budget or not. Adding $2 million to the budget will not cause the additional $2 million of interest to be earned, and not adding it to the budget will not prevent it from being earned. So that's one of the points I just wanted to make from a practical perspective. The other is that the general fund share of any of the interest that is earned in 2023 will only be about 23%. So therefore, if there's an additional $2 million of interest earned, the general fund share is only going to be 23% or $460,000. So what that means is that the budget deficit would only be reduced by $460,000, not by the $2 million, since the budget deficit only exists in the general fund and is therefore only affected by the general fund's share of investment revenue. Another related point is that if we do bring in an unbudgeted extra $460,000 to the general fund, it simply means that we'll have that much more excess revenue over expenditures at the end of the year that can be returned to the reserves, just like we do every year. You don't need to do the budget adjustment or a change to the budget for excess revenue over expenditures at the beginning of the year in order to allocate it at the end of the year. We do that at the end of the year once we know what the exact amounts are. The other aspect to this is that the amount of investment revenue that will actually be posted at the year end is affected by the market adjustment. So yes, we do ignore that throughout the year and in terms of how the investments are performing, but the actual amount of investment revenue is affected by the market adjustment. And since it's impossible to predict what the market adjustment is going to be a year from now, it's best to be conservative when budgeting investment revenue. And then the last point is that if you really do care about operating efficiency, then you really need to be careful about making changes like this to the budget once it reaches the draft stage. This is the point at which everything is now embedded into the New World system, and that all the work in putting the draft document has been done. If you were to direct this $2 million to be added to the budget at this point, this would require us to have to go in and manually change approximately 360 line items, because all of this revenue is allocated to all of the individual funds, and there's about 179 funds. So, and then that's just not to even mention the actual work of updating the draft document itself. So I wanted to make you aware of these practical issues when you're thinking about that consideration, if you choose to consider that this morning, so that you'll have be able to make more informed decision regarding that issue. And then the last thing I have, and I can wait until after you do your business as far as the resolutions, but I do have an update regarding the recommendation for handling that $17.5 million award from the state of Illinois that we're expecting. So I can do that now, or I can wait till later.
Urban,
Now,
do it now.
Okay, I do have a presentation. Oh, what's up? Thank you, Blair. Okay, and this should be very quick, because the first part of the presentation is what I've already presented to the Finance Committee, and where I presented that we had 3 options to consider. So, and just to quickly recap, we are aware that there's $17.5 million that's poised to be released to DCEO. And if it's handled similarly to all the other awards from DCEO in the past, we'll likely be receiving notification of the availability of the funds, and then we'll be asked to submit an application. And then once that application is approved, we'll receive the actual award letter that'll detail out the terms of the grant. But we're assuming that the grant is going to be restricted to the expense of building the Long Meadow Bridge. And so as such, we can use those funds then to pay or retire some of the debt on the Long Meadow bonds. So we had 3 options for doing so. I'll just focus on the first one, since that is the one that I've come to the conclusion that I should be recommending to you. And that is to set up this, what is termed a defeasance fund, with a trustee, and this would be most practically done with our current trustee, who is Zions Bank, out of which would be defeased, or quote unquote retired, as many of the bonds as we could possibly defease with that $17.5 million. The advantage of this approach is that with the current interest rate environment, it is possible to utilize what's known as slugs, or special state and local government securities, that are issued by the Treasury for this purpose. And what is special about them is that they would generate the exact amount of interest that is due on each of the bonds until the principal is paid on each of the bonds. And it would generate that without exceeding the interest limit that is imposed upon us by the bond ordinance, which is 4.17%. And that's governed by the U.S. Department of Treasury. So we have no way of changing that limitation. But by using these slugs, we can be assured that we're not going to exceed that limitation, and that the amount to be earned would be exactly what is needed. Okay, so I'm just going to skip over options 2 and 3. And then this is just reiterating the recommendation that I'm recommending option 1, where we set up this defeasance fund. And one of the advantages of this is that when you do this, these bonds will then be considered legally retired. So even though they're not quite paid off yet, because we cannot pay them off until December of 2028, because that's the date on which they're callable, the money will be sitting and earning investment revenue with the trustee, and it'll be ready there, restricted for the use of paying off as many of the bonds as it possibly can do. And that total amount of bonds that would be paid off is $14,455,000. Some of that $17.5 million is going to be used to pay the interest on those bonds between now and when they're callable on 2028. So that would leave us with about $12,095,000 of the bonds remaining, which we would then have some time, because this would be remaining as of December of 2028, to either obtain more money, more funding from the state of Illinois, or possibly come up with other solutions to pay off that remaining $12 million. Perhaps it may make sense at that point in 2028 to actually refinance those bonds, but we have until then to make that decision. In the meantime, by setting up this defeasance fund, and it would be used to pay the total debt service between now, between June 15th of 2023 and June 15th of 2028. That's 5 years worth of debt service payments would be completely paid out of the debt service fund, which would eliminate or at least reduce the need from any toll revenue that is or is not collected on the toll bridge to have to pay debt service payments. So that's one of the advantages of this. And then in the end, even if we are still left with that $12 million worth of bonds to pay off, there's a variety of ways in which that could be done, depending on which bonds you decide to pay off. So one of the options would be to pay off a little bit of the bonds that are due every single year between 2028 and 2048. And that would be would end up with a total interest expense of $12.2 million. Another way to do it would be to pay off the bond principals that are due for the next 5 years and only be left with having to pay interest payments for those 5 years, which would be $509,000 a year. And then you'd go back to be paying the regular debt service between 2037 and 2048. And then another option would be to pay off the bonds that are due at the tail end of that 20-year period. So then the bonds would be paid off in 15 years instead of 20 years. And that would result in $13.8 million of interest. So and then you could do any combination of ways, but these are three, examples of how it could be done. We don't have to make any decisions until we get closer to 2028 as far as which bonds to pay off. And we can make that decision based on what would make the most sense at the time. So there's no action that's required today. The next step, let's see, I do have it here, would be once we receive the terms of the $17.5 million award from the state of Illinois, and if the award is indeed restricted to funding the construction of the toll bridge as is expected, then that's when we'll work with the bond council to draft the ordinance that would establish the defeasance fund. It's also known as the escrow fund. And it'll probably be with the current trustee, Zions Bank, because they're the ones who are the trustee for paying off the toll revenue bonds. And that ordinance would be required to be approved by the county board. And the bond council would also help us with any other details that are related to establishing an escrow fund like that. So this will be in the future. I think the soonest it could possibly be would be next month, but it may be later than that, depending on when we get the information from the state.
Madam Chair.
That is wonderful news. On all ends, to save our taxpayers money. A significant amount of money is always welcomed. And to pay down our own debt is even makes me happier. So, yes, sir.
Madam Chair, Berman, I think that maybe Mr. Hansick would like to have a feeling from our committee as to which of the options he should follow. I would recommend that we follow option number one, whether that's a feeling of the committee.
Shepro?
Yes, Mr. Shepro.
I would agree. I think option one makes sense. I just, as I understand it, then no action is needed either to establish the fund or affecting the budget until the terms are finalized.
Could we go
That's-
back to the page that has option one on it?
Oh,
1, 2,
sure.
and 3. I have a question. Oh, you've got the power.
I did have one question about that since Ms. Bates has called it up. Is the last line where it says the disadvantages, there's no flexibility. And I wondered what that meant.
Well, what that would mean, and could also be considered an advantage, is that once this defeasance fund is established, then we are not able to touch
You
it.
can't change your
We
mind.
cannot change it.
Now, Miss Bates.
Yes, could you go down a couple slides to the 1, 2, 3? 2, 3, one more. One more, I'm sorry. I mean, there was one slide that's one more, I guess, where it said, okay, thank you. Okay, so to me, option C, so is this different from the option 1, 2, and 3? This is now A, B, and C?
Yes, this would be
Just add these
options
to later.
for the future. For when we're getting ready to pay off the remaining bonds.
Okay,
This is when we would be making decision as to which bonds would be paid off.
okay, so everything's fine.
And
Okay, you're all good. Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
the part about, the disadvantage being lacking flexibility, if these come through as we expect, as you've said, and are restricted,
There's no.
really a moot point. It's
That's
not-
true.
So the disadvantage really isn't.
Mhm.
And just so I'm clear on your earlier comments, you're saying that just by writing it on paper, we can't conjure $2 million?
I wish that were true. but,
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions for Mr. Hansick?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
To the point that Mr. Davis just made, I just had a couple of comments. I guess I've seen the same press release. I was somewhat surprised to see that it stated that there had been no questions raised about that. And I recall a perhaps overly lengthy dialogue between Director Anzick and myself, where we asked specifically about the million and whether or not we should change it. And I think it apparently the individual in question didn't listen to that part of the discussion. I guess though that I have and I guess also a question for Mr. Anzick is if after the draft budget has been finalized, put on display, that does not preclude the final budget from being amended.
Correct.
I'm not saying it's a good idea, but once the draft budget is out for review, the board may then act to amend or revise the final budget before it's adopted.
Yes, that's within your prerogative and
Yeah.
legally you have that right to do that.
Right.
It would just,
So if somebody really thought that it was essential that we change the projections, and these are projections, correct? I mean, the projections of the revenue or the deficit does not spend one nickel of our money or bring in one nickel into the pot until it happens at some point in the future. Is that correct?
that's correct. And you could use this, our own current fiscal year as a perfect example. We thought there'd be much less sales tax revenue, income tax revenue, personal property revenue coming into the county than what actually is coming. So we're like $10 million ahead of where we were. And we had budgeted to use, I forget now, how many, it was like 12 million or so dollars from the reserve for this year. That was the deficit, but we don't have to, we're not going to end up doing that. So, but we didn't change the budget. We just know that when we get to the end of the year, we'll have that much more to apply to our reserves, which would in effect eliminate what we drew down to apply to the deficit that never materialized.
And that's been the case, has it not, for the past several years, where
Yes.
the budget projections turned out to be fortunately reduced deficits because of the actual numbers that came in by the end of the year or past the end of the year. As
Yes,
part of the reconciliation.
that's true. We normally never change revenue. It's only when we have a new source of revenue that's tied to a new set of expenditures that will amend both the revenue and the expenditure side of the budget. But otherwise, we normally don't amend the revenue side. There is one case in which revenue was reduced, and that's when we had that revenue from the sheriff's marshal reimbursement revenue program, where it was reduced by $2 million. And so we had to make reductions to both the revenue and the expenditure side. So that's an example of it going the other way. But normally, any type of change to the revenue is only done when it's affecting the expenditure side at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I don't have a question, but just a comment on the, on this. I would like to publicly thank you for your part in obtaining this money, as well as our new representatives, Ness, Moeller, and Castro, and also Speaker Welch, and our lobbyists as working as a team to bring this to us so that we don't have to have this burden.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. Yes.
And I would like to congratulate Mr. Caius for your total stubbornness in for keeping this issue alive.
It's my campaign thing. I didn't do anything. I just complained.
The bridge now?
All right. So we will celebrate our good news when we get it, and hopefully there'll be additional good news coming forward on all ends. So any other questions, further questions from Mr. Onsick? No? All right, let's get, is there any old business?
How about the PIO?
Oh, the Public Information Officer, she's not able to attend today. She will give us our update for this month and next month, which is, can you believe it's November already? In December. So let's move on to old business. Nothing? All right. I know we have a couple of items onto new business, and I will turn that over to Mr. Caius.
Madam Chair, thank you. Ms. Caius. I'd like to move the resolution authorizing the creation of the position of Executive Director for Information Technologies and Building Management and appointment of Roger Fonstock and related FY 2023 budget adjustments.
They have a second.
Davis, second.
Are there any questions on this?
Excuse me, was there an amendment to this one? It's the next one.
I believe it's the
Amendment
next
to
one.
this Sorry, got so much other stuff going on that I get confused. Okay.
Hearing no comments. Yes.
I think this is probably has a very simple answer, but as I was reading the packet, it looked like all of the other committees were crossed out in
Oh,
blue.
this is a different resolution.
Okay,
I don't mean to correct you, but it's a different resolution.
okay. Oh, all right, thank you.
I'll go for the question.
All right, if I hear no other comments, questions, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog,
Yes.
passes.
And then item number 2, an ordinance. I would move that we amend section 2-48 of the King County Code.
May I have a second?
Shepro seconds.
Mr. Shepro.
All right, thank you. And I would also then move to amend that ordinance as it's written in our, is that correct? As it is written in our agenda. And we have a copy of the amended. You should have received a copy of the amended agenda.
Is that the one that was passed out with the red?
It has the red, yeah.
I'll second the motion to amend.
So
Actually, could we just, point of order?
Yes, sir.
Yes, would the movement, accept amending his initial motion and just say that we adopt the submitted amended
as amended.
resolution without the necessity of moving and then moving to amend.
Right, okay. Is that okay with the state's attorney?
The problem was is it was published incorrectly. That's why we, technically to amend it.
Okay, but we can amend and replace. We can move to adopt and replace with the replacement because it is an agenda item and we're simply
That's
changing
fine.
it.
That's fine.
Then I would modify my motion to do that.
And I will second.
Okay, can we have that clarified just so that everybody understands what the language is? I think we all know what the intent of it is, but just the clarity of the language.
The
Yeah.
The motion is to adopt the amendment to section 2-48 of the King County Code as sometimes you use blue paper, but we don't have blue paper, as distributed at the meeting, as opposed to the initial version that was in the packet.
Okay, very good. Do you have that? Yes, okay.
And
Is everybody clear on this? Is there, Ms. Bates, you have a discussion?
I can accept this. I just need to be, understand why.
Microphone.
I would like to understand why in the packet, it looks like all the other committees have been stricken out in blue.
I will let Ms. Neerman explain.
We would like to know the answer to that too. I think the answer is that we are using a couple different software systems right now. We're
That's fine.
transitioning.
Okay.
And it appears to be correct when you look at it on the screen. But when it was posted to the executive committee agenda, it crossed
Okay,
out all of
that's-
the remaining text.
That's enough explanation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
the Shepro,
Yes, Mr. Shepherd.
as I read this as revised, the only thing that is stricken out are either obsolete or redundant language that, for example, the reference to central services, which I believe is about 15 years out of date. And that's the clarification.
Correct. Correct.
In the view I have, all the other committees have been stricken out.
So
That's
That's fine. Thank you.
all right.
we're voting on is this
Mhm,
hard
yep,
copy
Thank you.
version.
All right, now we're all clear about the hard copy. We're clear about the revisions. Are there any other? Yes.
Call for question.
All right, ready to take the vote?
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Raz, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Kirag.
Yes,
Passes.
passes. Okay, very good.
All right, if we're gonna have to read every one of these individually, could we start a pool to see how long your voice is gonna hold out?
Yes. Do you know the laws?
Bates did such a great job of reading the letter from Mr. Meyer that
Oh, we have backup here.
Rita-
Berman has to read the big job that
Okay, ready? Done with that. Moving forward now to the preliminary county board agenda. And let me get my notes together here. Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have two resolutions before you, and I will move them both together unless someone would like to have them separated.
Please separate them.
Okay. We'll start with the first one, authorizing the execution of a grant agreement with Costa County with funding allocated from state and local fiscal recovery funds. And I will move that and ask for a second.
Surges second.
Okay.
I'll let Madam
Surges
Chair
second.
pick who second that. Surges. All right.
Mr. Surges, second.
I know information has been sent out to the whole board in advance of this. If there are any questions, I can address those at this time.
Any questions? Down online? All right. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Fraz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Deppie, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Chubro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
And CASA is one of our pearls for the county. We have many pearls, but that's certainly one of the great ones.
All right, our next resolution approving invoices with our consultant Ernst and Young for services rendered from 6/1 to 6/30/2022 and 7/1 to 7/31/2022. I move and ask for a second.
Second.
This is just again, routine invoice payment approval. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to address those at this time.
Are there any questions? No. Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Deppie, present.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Chubro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
All right, Mr. Martin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The County Development Committee has one matter before you today, which is a resolution that reaffirms our existing 2040 plan objectives and policies as they relate to housing within the county. I move that that resolution be approved and request a second.
Sanchez
For
seconds.
seconds.
Mr. Sanchez. Any discussion on this?
Thank you for bringing,
Yes.
thank you for bringing this forward.
Food and housing. Without either one of those, life becomes very challenging. All right, seeing no discussion, clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Deppie, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Chubro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, Mr. Berman, you ready?
Thank
Got a
you, ma'am.
glass of water?
There are 39 items under the finance. I would move for approval of the 39 unless there are some ones that would like to be discussed individually.
I would second that.
Second, Mr. Tepe.
I'd like to see number 2 and number 3 handled individually.
2 and 3.
Point of inquiry. I understood that we are required to vote separately on each of the levy matters. Is that,
When we get to the full commission.
I thought we also had to do it at the executive.
We would recommend it be done separately.
Do it this way.
All right,
So we'll,
I withdraw my motion.
I suggest that Mr. Berman could offer if we could do it out of order, he could offer a motion with respect to items
3
20,
through,
25 through
20.
39.
no,
25 through 39, perhaps. And with one motion.
all right, then I will make a motion that we approve items 25 through 39 of the finance consent agenda.
Sanchez seconds.
Okay. Thank you. And since
I will read each.
we had a second previously, who seconded previously?
Mr. Kenyon.
And
Mr. Kenyon?
You're okay with 5 and 39, 25 through 39.
Yes.
Yes, all right, very good. Okay, very good. Okay.
Madam Chair, just point of order is that I didn't, the state's attorney, that's appropriate through these final ones then? Did not handle it, to handle them as a group?
Yes, I mean, I'm sorry, the other 1 through 24 items directly affect tax levies and the budget. So I believe Mr. Shepro's point was it's because it was solely related to tax levies and budgets.
Clarification.
Okay, so we are about ready to have any discussion on items number 25 through 39?
would you like?
And do we need to have you call each one of them out?
Well, I will read each one individually. Starting with item 25, authorizing receipt of funds for the state's attorney's office pre-arrest diversion fiscal year 22 opiate overdose prevention grant, a grant for $8,151. Item 26, authorizing a budget adjustment for consolidation of state's attorney's office fiscal year 22 budget. 27, authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment and authorizing execution of collective bargaining agreement, the coroner's bargaining unit of $18,529.
Question on 27, Shepro. When we had this at finance, I believe the contract had not been finished. Is it finished now? I understood that this is a computational issue. And I just wondered if it had been finalized at this point.
Could you bring that up?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Item
number 27.
27, it's on page 119.
Ms. Chairman.
The contract had been finalized. It was the computation of the retro pay that had not been finalized at the last meeting. I know that I saw, and I'll have to check through the agenda here, but I know I saw the revised resolution. We'll just need to confirm that it made it to the agenda, I guess. And it did have the budget amounts, budget adjustment amounts.
That was the question I raised at the finance committee meeting then. Thank you. That satisfies my.
It does have a budget. It does have a budget.
All right, that was 27, 28. Authorizing acceptance of grant funds by the Kane County State's Attorney's Office of the State of Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority for $135,000. Item 29, authorizing contract extension for medical services for the Juvenile Justice Center of $437,193.36. Item 30, authorizing payment for 211 services, $30,000. 31, renewing internet contract to Comcast Business, $30,000. Item 32, authorizing the extension of 2022, 2023 snow removal, $450,000 for 1 year. Item 33, approving the Kane County per diem meal rates for calendar year 2023, $64 a day, $14 for breakfast, $16 for lunch, and $34 for dinner. Item 34, authorizing the purchase of used cargo vans for the building management of $100,000. Item 35, authorizing the purchase of new cargo vans for building management of $100,000. Item 36, approving a contract with Illinois State Water Survey for the Kane County Shallow Groundwater Quality Assessment, $60,000. Item 37, approving a contract with Illinois State Water Survey for the Kane County Assessment of Shallow Groundwater Sustainability for $272,000. Item 38, approving a contract with Illinois State Water Survey for the Kane County Groundwater Monitoring Network of $219,616. And item 39, approving the September 2022 claims paid of $7,188,678.39. Now we need to move on. We need to.
Should we move these, call the roll?
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford. Braz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez,
Strathman,
yes.
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog,
Yes.
passes.
All right, then, starting with our finance consent agenda, item number 1. Need a motion to approve the fiscal year 23 draft budget to be placed on public display.
Sanchez moves.
Seconds. Okay, very good. Are there any questions on this? Okay, none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Braz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Pepe, yeah. Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
I
Pirog,
repeat Burns' name for some reason.
Yes.
passes.
May I make a motion for each of these, and all we require then is a second?
I'm sorry, sir.
So item number 2, a motion to adopting the fiscal year 2023 annual appropriation and budget for $393,802,412.
Caius, second.
Are there any comments on this budget?
No,
Pause. I
thought we
just went ahead
can't
and-
adopt that until we have the elapsed time period for the public display.
It's. Ms. Stearman?
This would simply move it on to the county board. At the county board, you would set that over to the whatever meeting is determined to adopt
Okay.
the county board. It'd be the next county board meeting. So this would simply move it to the county board. It'll be on that agenda and then it'll be continued on.
That item,
till
item
after.
2 is really the same as item 1. The
Well-
document is the
well, yes.
same, right?
Item 1 is just putting it on display
It is correct.
Well, it says.
as it's presented,
Well, it says approving the draft budget
right?
to be placed on public display.
It is the same document.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Just, and it's important clarity. All right. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Braz, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, no.
Pepe,
Pepe, no.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, no.
Pirog,
Yes.
passes.
Uh, Motion adopting a tax levy for the general fund of $33,453,014.
Sanchez seconds.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this? None? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, no.
Pepe,
Pepe, no.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Chaperone, no.
Pirog.
Yes,
Thank you.
it passes.
Item 4, motion adopting a tax levy for the insurance liability fund of $6,437,669.
Surges moves.
I move.
seconds.
2 seconds.
So behind it is the target.
Do we have a second?
Chaperone.
Second.
Mr. Shepro, seconds. Are there any questions? Comments? None? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Yes.
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Chaperone, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Item 5, I move adopt a tax levy for the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund of $4,937,335.
Bates, second.
Ms. Bates, seconds. Any questions, comments? None. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Chaperone, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
And item 6, I move we adopt a tax levy for the Social Security Fund of $5,081,592.
Davis, second.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any questions, comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman,
yes.
Ford, yes.
Franz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Chaperone, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
Very good.
Item 7, I move the adopting a tax levy for the County Highway Fund of $5,010,909.
Raz moves. Seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Praz. Any questions, comments? None. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes, enthusiastically, yes, for our highways. Okay.
Move the adoption of tax levy for the county bridge fund of $312,695.
Brad second.
Any questions, comments? None. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Brad, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Mm.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
Item 9, I move to adopt the tax levy for the county highway matching fund, $65,125.
Brad second.
Any questions, comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Brad, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
Item 10, I move adopting a tax levy for the Kane County Health Fund of $1,972,455.
Strathman seconds.
Questions, comments? None. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Brad, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
Item 11, I move to adopt a tax levy for the Veterans Commission Fund of $471,065.
Kenyon
Bates,
was
second.
Mr. Kenyon.
Yes. Let a veteran second.
Okay.
Clerk, please call. Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any questions to this for our veterans? No. Clerk, please call the roll.
Berman, I'm sorry.
Berman, yes.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry. Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Brad, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
12, I move to adopt a tax levy for the Mill Creek Special Service Area, $879,500.
Brad second.
Thank you, Mr. Frost. Any questions about Mill Creek? None. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Brad, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Passes.
And item 13, I move to adopt a tax levy for the Shirewood Farm Special Service Area of $110.
Caius, second.
Thank you. Any comments about Shirewood Farms? A modest amount. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Brad, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges, Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag,
Yes.
passes.
And item 14, I move to adopt a tax levy for the Wildwood West Special Billing Area of $665.
Okay,
Sanchez moves or seconds.
thank you. Any questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Raj, yes.
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Sturgis, Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag,
Yes.
passes.
Item 15, I move to adopt a tax levy for the Cheval DeSalle Special Billing Area of $2,200.
Raj
Okay.
moves or seconds.
Almost
And
got a
is
whopping
the
bill there.
French, okay, high school French is de Soleil,
They have been surprised.
Raj,
the Cheval de Soleil, rather
Cheval
than
de Sal.
de Sal? Okay, very good. De Sal. All right. Any questions? We got the pronunciation right? Clerk, please call your roll, the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Bras,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Devu, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag,
Yes.
passes.
Item 16, I move to adopt a tax levy for the Plank Road Estate Special Billing Area of $1,575.
Kai, second.
Any questions? Ready? Here you go. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Bras,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez, Strathman, Sturgis,
Yes.
Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag,
Yes.
passes.
Item 17, I move a tax levy for the Exposition View Special Billing Area, $500.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Darn, I wanted to do that.
Any questions? Okay, Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates, yes. Which one's in there?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Bras,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Sturgis,
Yes.
Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
sorry, Shepro,
Yes. Shepro, yes.
Pirag,
Yes.
passes.
And item 18, motion move to approve a tax levy for the Pasadena Drive Special Billing Area of $1,300.
Kai, second.
Second.
Mr. Kenyon. Be fine. Any questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Raj is leading with the most.
Froz,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Kenyon, yes.
Kenyon, yes, Caius,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Sturgis,
Oh, he wasn't here.
Tepi,
Tepe, yes.
Davist, Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag,
Yes.
passes.
Do have.
Item 19, I move a tax levy for the Tamara Dittman Special Billing Area of $1,215.
Davis, second.
Thank you, Mr. DePres. Any questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag.
Yes.
Item 20, I move tax levy, the church monitor special service area of $3,334.
Kenyon would move to second.
Thank you, Mr. Kenyon.
How many is that? Oh, how many?
Any questions?
I think you figure three.
He's keeping track.
Please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Should second.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag.
Yes.
Passes.
Item 21, I move to adopt a tax levy for the 45 West 185 Plank Road Special Service Area of $4,000.
Well, Kenyon would second that one also.
Thank you, Mr. Kenyon.
Before. Is that a one
Are-
house special?
Yeah, I was
service
wondering
area?
about that. That's good.
Are there any questions on this item?
I think that's a
No.
cleanup.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag.
Yes.
Passes.
Item 22, I move to adopt a tax levy for the Crane Road Estates Special Building Area of $68,533.
Davis, second.
Thank you. Any questions? None. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes. How many?
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag.
Yes.
Passes.
Item 23, I move a fiscal year 2023 non-union wage increase of 3% average.
Raj, second.
Thank you, Mr. Franz.
Sure enough.
Any questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag.
Yes.
Item 24, I move fiscal year 22 budget adjustment and transfer from the tax sale and error fund to the general fund of $75,515.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Pretty good. isn't it?
Any questions on this item? None. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Franz,
Raj, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirag.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes the consent agenda from the
Takes a
finance.
long time, doesn't it?
Thank you, Mr. Berman, and thank you, Savannah. All right, next item, Mr. Surges.
Amending Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 3, Ethics of the Kane County Code. Looking for a second.
I would second
Second.
it. I'd back you up.
Discussion? Thank you, sign, sir.
Will you be reading the whole code to us?
I will not be. Please call the roll.
Job, sir.
Coward.
For lunch. Uh, Are there any questions on ethics? Just behave yourselves, please.
Step up.
All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Raz, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Deppie, yes.
Davist,
Ethically, yes.
Shepro,
Present.
Pirog,
Yes,
passes.
Miss Molina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The JPS committee has one item we'd like to move to the consent agenda, and this is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Central Community Unit School District 301 and Kane County and the Kane County Sheriff's Office for the provision of a school resource officer. And this goes on until June 30th, 2025. I motion, may I please have a second?
Kenyon
Burgess,
would like to
second.
second that.
Paper, rock, scissors.
Okay, him.
Kenyon, please.
Okay, Mr. Kenyon. Are there any questions on this item? None. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates abstain.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Fraz,
Raz, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Deppie, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog,
Yes.
passes.
Mr. Froz.
Transportation, Fraz speaking. We have 4 items. I'd like to move all 4 and ask for a second.
Davis, second.
Board seconds. Item 1 approves 1 new
Thank you.
adopt a highway applicant. Item 2 approves a 1-year extension to a 3-year contract. This is for the annual KDOT parts and services purchase. Item 3 approves an intergovernmental agreement with CMAP. That's the Chicago Metropolitan, what is that?
Agency.
Agency, I was gonna
For
say,
planning.
agency for planning. For $100,000 or 20% cost share of a planning services study. This is related to, we have to have this done so that we can accept some additional federal funds. So it's money well spent. Item 4 approves a phase 1 engineering services agreement.
Not bad.
This is with Alfred Benish out of Chicago. This is for our North Randall Road multimodal improvement plan. This goes from College Green Drive north to the county line. And that's all I have.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Fraz,
Raz, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Deppie, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog,
Yes.
passes.
All righty. Thank you. I do not believe we have any need for executive
Oh, no.
session today.
Oh. No.
So disappointing for all of you. Are there any committee reports? Yes, sir.
I don't have a
Transportation.
committee report, but I'd like to ask for a round of applause for Savannah for getting through.
Get out of my brain, Drew.
Fair committee report. I believe It's Surges here for Human Services. I believe Jamie walked numbers over from our meeting for the insurance costs. I'll make sure I get these to Mr. Berman and Mr. Onsick immediately. So
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Gums.
Yes, Ms. Gomes.
I may or may not have a committee report. I'm not sure if Mr. Tuppy wants to speak on an issue that we're working on right now, if he's prepared to do that. If not, we can bypass that altogether, Vern.
Is this in legislative?
Correct.
Mr. Tepe?
Well, the key thing we're working on is.
Can you get closer to your mic, sir?
Thought I had it on. With the increase in social securities that has happened the past several years, one of the things that has not increased is the amount of money that's required to stay on the senior fund for real estate taxes. So I'm lobbying and have spoken to quite a few of our state reps and a couple of our state senators about increasing the amount from 65,000 to 70,000, which would keep it in line with the inflationary increases in Social Security, so that seniors that are currently on that can stay on that. So yeah, we're working on that together.
Thank you, Vern. I didn't know if I hated to put you on the spot, but I know it's an important issue, so. Thank you very much for bringing it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Madam Chair Ford.
Yes, sir. Mr. Ford.
Thank you. At our next job committee meeting, from the roundtable discussion that we had talked about bringing a consultant on board, just to come speak to us about what it takes to do the type of projects that we've been talking about with the workforce housing. So there's a project that's been done in Aurora at, what was the name of the school? Lincoln School. So at Mary Todd. So some of those same people will be speaking hopefully at our next jobs committee meeting this month.
Fantastic. Thank you for continuing to move this forward. It is always part of my conversation that I have with real estate individuals.
Madam Chair, Mr. Ford, how many housing units are proposed at that school? Do you know?
36, I think.
36? Okay, thank you.
20 at one and 16 at the other.
Very good.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
We previously announced this, I think last month, but I believe that Doug Naughton's retirement party is this afternoon at the Judicial Center.
Correct. That's correct. And I do believe that there will be pies being served. Anybody else? Okay,
Mr. Kenyon.
Not yet.
we're all done
It's your big moment.
now.
I'd
Ready.
like to move that we adjourn and it's still daylight.
To have a seconds. All right, everybody, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
To put me
Go
down
have
to
a